All right, we're gonna go ahead and call the May the 12th special meeting of Public Safety Committee to order. There's no minutes to approve, so the reason we're here tonight is to look over the Sheriff's Department's proposed 2010, 2011 budget. And with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to the Sheriff or Regina.
Okay, we'll let Regina run with it, but we met with the mayor a couple of times on this, and we started with what we normally would ask for, and then after talking to the mayor, the monies have not been coming in like everybody anticipated, and so therefore we've adjusted our budget and by working with him, and I think we pretty much came to a consensus on most of the things that were in there.
That's correct.
Okay.
There will be some, I guess you could say, some mathematical changes, Regina, as we go through this, since Lisa sort of worked through some of these computations on benefits and stuff. But we're not going to go there with any of that discussion. On this first page, we're on the sheriff's budget. Really, what he has there, we've already agreed to that in its entirety. There's nothing really there that I'm aware of, Regina, that we haven't already sort of worked through and been done with. So we have the sheriff's request there. Basically, you can say some of his numbers are even different from his own people's request, but I'm agreeing with what he has there in that sheriff's request column. If we go to the second page, there are a few things there that I guess we might have a little clarification on. Regina, we just were talking about line item 709, that data processing equipment line item. We had, that includes some master storage devices that some of you heard some of this last night if you were on budget, those of you, two of you, I think. In other words, that number was going to be reduced to $17,000 because we'd moved that $45,000 or $6,000 over into OIT's budget. So when we wind up here, it'll be $17,000 plus. Regina has now reminded me that, and they have determined that we really need to spend $25,000 more for a replacement, I think, on some backup battery equipment for their communications dispatch area. Is that right?
That's correct.
So when we get all finished with this, what we want you to know, that's going to be a $42,000 number right there.
On 709?
Yes, sir.
42,000 even?
Yes, that's close enough for these purposes, I think. Motor vehicles is you can see that's even down from this year, and he's been very frugal in his request for patrol cars and CID cars and SRO vehicles. You can see all of that itemized over there, and that number is exactly correct. So all of that down to that point with that one change is we're in full agreement on. When we get to this little bottom piece down there, you can see that the sheriff has already reduced and changed substantially those things that had initiated with the initial request from his department. But there are two or three things I want to say there, Sheriff and Regina. We've had a little bit of confusion within these SRO positions. Yes, the school system is not going to pay for one they've been paying for, but that position is already in the budget. It's already expensed. That has the effect of reducing our revenue that we had down before. Mm-hmm. So we really don't hire, according to my and Lisa's review, we only have 2 new positions we have to fund. That one position we already got in there.
Right.
So we're going to put a new person at Oakland, which will be a transfer. That money is already in the current number of positions. Mm-hmm. We're going to put a new person at Buchanan, which is in position new number 1, and we're going to share a position across a few other places you guys told us, I believe, magnet school locations. So that's 2 positions. So unless...
Let me make sure that's correct. I mean, we got Bill Kennedy here.
Yes.
The third position is transferring from one budget to another. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
That's
already there.
Are you listening to this, Bill?
Yes.
Okay. Is that accurate to what you had figured out?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right, so that being the case, we need money there for 2 new full positions. So that 112,590 will go to 75,060.
Mayor, I guess I do have a question. The school system is currently paying for that one position.
All we're looking at here is an expense budget. That, what they're paying for is sitting over there in revenue, and that revenue goes to zero.
Okay.
So we don't have to add anything to this one, we just reduce our revenue.
Okay.
Okay?
So that comes to what, did you say?
75,060 will be that number there.
Okay.
And
But while we're on this, SROs, and whatever, that one is being shared, I've heard it's being shared with 4 schools. Is that correct? I've heard a campus school, Central,
Well,
He can give you a
Laverne Middle,
number.
and I mean, I don't see how one of them.
well, currently, we have 4 schools that do not have any police coverage whatsoever. And that is Campus School, Thurman Francis, McFadden, and Laverne Primary. None of the 4 schools have any coverage except for when they call in emergencies and we have to go and run over there and try to help them. These 2 positions, and then what we would do is move some people around. We will then have every school in the county, every one of them covered by moving some positions around. So those 2 positions would cover every school.
it's not just gonna be one, but he's gonna share this among some other existing positions to sort of
Okay.
fill this out.
All right. I just seen that was spread in one guy. He could,
Yeah,
crazy,
absolutely.
you know, from one day to the next.
Oh, we would not do that, yes.
Okay.
We wish we could have one in each school full-time, but it's so costly right now.
Okay. If we continue on the bottom of that page, we don't think that this, that $5,940, we don't think we should do that. We haven't really talked to you about that since we've reviewed that, but that's our recommendation. Those next 2 numbers on the traffic positions is correct. The transfer position from the NARC fund is correct. And when we get to the bottom there, I don't know what those numbers should be, Regina, but if you'll just allow Regina and Lisa to make those numbers come out right on the benefits, we will take care of that benefit number. That won't be a precise number since we've taken that one SRO position off. And secondly, I don't think, Regina and Sheriff, that we need any estimated vehicle cost for these new positions. In other words, we've already taken care of those back up in the top. In other words, this $65,000 there, I don't know what that would be for.
This 65 is for the 2 cars for the SROs.
Well, you've
because-
already got those listed right up here.
Well, these are currently within the SRO division.
Oh, you're saying, okay, listen.
2 SRO vehicles asked for now are replacement.
So we got 2 replacement, I'm with you, so my apology then. So that's replacement up at the top, and the bottom 2 are for new.
Yes.
All right. Now, these new vehicles are more expensive than your replacement vehicles. Is that intentional?
Well, the current vehicles already have the cameras and the equipment and everything.
So
and
you're
the new
swapping those
vehicles-
over?
Yes.
All right, so I stand corrected. The 65,417 is correct. And then the 75,555 is, believe it like it is for now, but I don't know what the right number should be, to be honest.
Should be less.
It should be something different. It would be less, yes.
Because we use 75,000 instead of 112 up above.
If you don't mind, I need to clarify that the 25,000 that we had added additionally, it should go in 708 communication equipment. It's not computer equipment.
Oh, I'm
That's-
sorry, excuse me,
That's
Regina. I misunderstood you when we were talking. So instead of 25,000 and 708, we need 50 up there. The same effect, I just
Yeah.
misunderstood what line item you wanted to put that in. That's fine. So that's 50,000 and the 709 is 17,000. With that being said, that's the end of the story.
708 says 50,000 right now.
708 says 25,000 on mine.
Well, that's the department request. The sheriff request says 50 on that.
Hey, they've updated the data, the piece of paper you have in hand. I'm sorry about that. I'm one step behind that. So 50,000 is a correct number, and that's what you have sitting at your table.
And 709, needs to be what instead of 42,000?
17,000.
17,000.
Right. Thank you.
So, can we go back to these people again? Just to get the way I see the numbers then, is we're gonna have 4 traffic crossing guards, new, and we're gonna have 2 new SROs, and somebody, an administrative legal assistant's getting a promotion.
Well, I'm not recommending that. We're going to have to iterate on that with them.
Okay. But then another new person's coming from the narcotics squad, the drug,
That's
which
the-
used to be in the drug fund? Is that
That's
what
true.
that position was? And
We-
now it's coming over to the sheriff. So it's
Right.
just,
Just
so
transfer
the
money.
drug fund's gonna show a decrease in personnel because that person's
That's true.
coming to this one. Okay.
Correct.
So in essence, if we get down to the bottom line, I'm seeing 2 new full-time SRO positions and 4 part-time crossing guards is the
That-
difference in personnel.
That's
Is that-
correct.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Because the one that's going is a slot that's already there for the lieutenant.
Mhm. Okay.
Sheriff, where are the new SROs going to?
The new schools that'll be opening up.
Oakland, Buchanan, and one will be floating. Allow them to float.
Then that's Oakland Middle School to the Oakland High School.
Correct.
So basically, with this request, it's over last year's budget, it's, what's the difference here between?
Well, that 17,541 will go down, Regina can probably help us, 40, what do you have? Let me see your printout.
566.
766,
Yeah.
566, we're going to take it down 45,000. It's going to be in the neighborhood of a little bit under 17,500.
And last year's amended budget was roughly 17.1,
Yeah,
roughly.
right.
So roughly, we're looking at a $400,000 difference from last year's budget.
450, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really under what we really need, but we feel like because of the crunch right now,
Well,
we can do our best to work with it.
what is this right here?
It's the difference between last year and what we're asking
Okay.
this year.
I don't see where we went up that much, really.
Now, is that keeping in that
So you add in the
59, 40?
25, but then take out.
But I mean, I don't
The,
see,
OIT money.
I don't see where we, yeah, overtime pay is,
Yeah, that's over 100,000.
I got a question. On the, on the other budgets we worked in public safety, on the salary part, as far as,
well, there are no increases here. That will take place at the next iteration.
okay,
There's nothing in this number right here. This is as is.
okay. So we're doing the budgets on the salaries just like we have on the others.
Yeah, right here, this first pass, this first iteration does not have any increases in it. Those are going to be projected in the next iteration.
Okay.
And the number you're giving us has still got that 5940 for the promotion in there, is that correct?
Yeah, it's in his number.
What is that promotion? I guess, with administrative legal assistant? What is that,
She's the lady that takes care of all of our, which is an enormous amount of legal work. She does a lot more things than that. But she is the person that is the go-between us and all of our attorneys. She keeps up with all the legal work. She notifies everybody.
kind of like a paralegal? type?
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe
she-
not to that point,
Yeah, well, she's at least to that point.
is she?
Yeah, yeah, she's very astute when it comes to those. She worked for attorneys for years before she started over with us, so she has an enormous amount of experience in that area, and Jim knows her. And in fact, she worked for your firm at one time. And,
Oh, it's,
Senator,
okay,
yeah,
yeah.
very competent. And she is well worth, or even more than what we're asking for her. Plus, she's one of the best secretaries that you could ever have, as far as even beyond that.
So basically, this, let me see, the $5,900 extra as far as promotion could actually save the county with her expertise and knowledge.
Yes. Yes, because she stays on it all the time. She keeps us abreast, and
We
I'm just
understand.
asking- I'm just asking a
if it
question.
wasn't for her, I mean, we could really get into some serious trouble. She keeps us on our toes all the time, and she works directly with all the attorneys that are representing us. And she has files in that place that, for years and years, that she keeps up and she can pull them out anytime.
How much experience does she have?
Oh, goodness gracious.
She has about 30.
40-something years.
30, 40.
Over 40 years.
Really, when you count all of the different volumes, of course.
Yeah, graduate of
worked for
UT.
Scott,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Believe me, we wouldn't ask for it if she didn't really deserve it, and she's, and,
And I get, and I'm being very frank, I mean, I don't know her, I'm just asking questions. And this is nothing against her, but, you know, I know we got deputies out there that, I won't sound harsh with her, but that's laying their life on the line, you know, and I'd like to see them get a raise.
oh, I'd love for
You
them to
know,
get up there.
You know, and I'm just.
They're some of the most underpaid people in the county.
Exactly. And that's why I asked the question, you know, and trying to work in my mind.
Sometimes it works out where you've got people in special positions that it's a lot easier to compensate them. If you've got a lot of officers out there, that's where it comes to, is the numbers.
Yeah.
You know, every one of those officers deserves a big raise.
They do?
Yeah, and it goes all the way up. And I wish, you know, we've been trying to get them raises for years, but it just hasn't worked.
But the money, I understand the money situation too.
Yeah.
But that's why I asked the question, because, you know, looking at someone getting promoted to that, and we got others that, as well. So
Well, we've had this discussion, we haven't had it recently, but in any event, we have evaluated what she's currently making. We've tried to evaluate that position versus some other positions. The only other positions we've got that are somewhat comparable are the law clerks and these judges' offices that have law degrees.
Yeah.
And we can have a little bit more discussion, but she is already making more money than those folks are making, by a good little bit.
But they have no experience.
I understand. But
And she handled high-stress, constant pressure situations. And anybody that ever worked with Scott Daniel would know that.
she's doing a wonderful job.
She also takes care of the the SOPs, 2 of the SOPs, and coordinates a lot of the stuff between all the departments, and she handles a lot. She wears many hats in addition to the legal.
And the other one was maintenance supervisor.
Well, that's over in the
Oh, that's over in
jail.
jail.
That's only
right,
jail.
It's over in jail. But that's the other one that'll come up.
Sheriff, when's the last time your deputies did receive a raise?
What's it been, a couple of years at least?
Year before.
And not all of them have gotten raises then.
It was just a 1% year before
Yeah,
last, I think
yeah.
it was.
Well, they've
They're-
got, except for last year, they got their step raise and that's it.
At one time, we were up with Murfreesboro, but we're falling drastically behind right now.
There's been 2 years that the step raises haven't been added.
Just 1 year on the step raise we missed, and I believe.
Yeah, last year.
Yes, 3. Trust me.
Three step raises?
3 years since
Okay. I didn't,
I can't believe you let that happen with the rest of them.
well, I mean, whatever happened to the whole county happened to them.
I know.
I don't
Okay.
remember the
Yeah.
second step raise, I do remember the one.
It's when they get them, it's throwing everything off.
Okay.
The owner giving out every 2 years.
Yeah, a
We
step
need
raise
to-
is for 2 years, it's a 2-year step raise, right?
It's 2 years.
We need to readdress that.
Because our people, the people in the general fund, for example, some get it 1 year and others get it the next. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
And if there's something happens where nobody gets it a couple of times, then you're
yes,
really off.
it does. So what I see, the difference in this budget this year and last year, and the additional overtime and it, what was it, the data processing services, plus the new people and what
That's
goes
good
with
resource
that.
officers,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, the resource
Since this
officer and
lieutenant
their
position is
deputy.
already
That's a
up
good-
here,
Yeah.
why do we?
Now, we are looking at a grant, COPS grant, where we're asking for some people, but this is not in there. This, which could affect it.
Is that the one we just turned down here?
No, I don't know what was turned down.
What
It
was-
wasn't
Put in
ours.
there- Didn't we put in for the one that was turned down for the, reopening?
So it's really already actually.
Okay. So is that long ago?
We were not selected out of that last group.
There's one other technical point here.
Okay.
This lieutenant position that the NARC person is moving to is already in this budget. It's not unfilled, of course. It's already in the 9.44 million and 189.
Yes.
So really and truly, it shouldn't be added in again. We'll adjust that when we go through this next roll-up, you might say, what Lisa's doing.
So the money's in there already, it just,
Yeah.
it will be just transferring from one to the other.
That's all, that position is already funded even now, and it's already in her initial total of 9.44 million. So we shouldn't add it in again, is the bottom line. That will come out.
When do we see this in budget, on the 18th?
17th.
17th, I believe, next Tuesday.
That'll give us time to have those adjustments.
Yeah, we'll make those adjustments, but that's, Regina has confirmed that.
Anybody else got any questions?
Sheriff, on applying your SROs, how many do you just have one at Laverne High School?
We have two that were on
Two.
us, yeah.
Yeah, all the high schools got two, except for Eagle, or they got one?
Eagles got one.
They got one. All the high schools got two.
It's comprehensive.
You mentioned campus school and the magnet schools. Is that just, they just kind of rotate between the campus schools?
It will be that way,
It
yeah.
will just be one to share.
Calculating in my head. So it takes a long time to figure out the figure.
Give you a copy if they're looking at it.
How many of those, at one time, we done it, the cameras, how many patrol cars have got the cameras in them now?
85.
85?
We've got them covered now, yeah.
Is that all of them?
Yes,
It
sir.
is?
All patrol units.
All patrol units, okay. That's
It
good.
is, it is good.
Sheriff, when you look at areas that that the mayor or this committee could potentially cut, what area do you have some flexibility in?
None,
None?
no, because we've already cut well beyond what we probably should have already. I mean, we went over this with a fine tooth comb and just felt like that there's nothing else we could touch, because the mayor asked us that too, 2 or 3 times. And there's just nothing there.
Well, you remember, he really hadn't had an increase in this, the 3rd year. This is a continuation budget, 3 years running.
It's unprecedented, really.
Well, when we look at the overtime, and you got the comp time in there on this, what's the comp time gonna be next year? Is it gonna be, a lot of people gonna run, what's a lot of comp time and then have the buyouts there also? Or is that mainly from absenteeism or attrition or both?
No, it's just, we are pretty much shorthanded. And we have to, and then, of course, our job never stops after 8 hours. If you're working on something, you have to continue on. And then you have courts and all the other things that affect your overtime. So when you're working on the type of budget that we do, then you don't have a choice. You have to have a lot of overtime.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the Sheriff's Department budget with the changes that's been talked about in here. The, switch and improve departments, whatever.
I'll second the motion, so we move this on the budget.
All right, and that's with the SRO, the 4 traffic positions, the transfer position from the narcotics fund.
That's really,
But it's
that's
shown
really,
twice. Right?
that's really a
Right,
zero.
but it,
Yeah, we'll adjust that, yes.
And benefits will be adjusted when it goes up and all that.
all right, what about the $5,940?
It's in there for right now, so we may look at it again when it comes to budget, so.
I'll leave it there for now. We'll give them a couple days to come up with all the reasons why it should be still in there. Is that fair? It's harder to take it out than it is to put it back. You know, it's harder to put it back in than it is to take it out.
I'm gonna say this again, I don't know the lady, but she's probably the sweetest lady there is. And I won't get to see it on the budget committee, so I'm gonna make my statement now. That there's deputies out there that are making $32,000 a year. That, are out there in the field. And Truman and I, we've been friends for a long time, but I just,
Well, let's go ahead and give them a raise tonight.
Good idea.
Well, I don't.
I won't argue with that.
You know, I don't have an argument with what you're saying. If you want to go ahead and amend this and take it out right now, that'll be fine. We can talk about it.
but as chairman, I can't,
You can relinquish chairmanship long enough to make a motion, so.
Where is she at now, do we know?
You talking about salary?
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
more than you would think comparably, but it's been a couple of weeks since we've worked on it. Just leave it in there. I'll talk to Regina, Lisa, and Sheriff, and we'll get to the budget committee. And
When it comes to budget, please have what you're comparing her to, what they're making versus what she's making, because we're not seeing that right now.
I understand, and you need better information.
and like I say, I don't even know who we're even talking about. I'm just, I guess, basing it off principle.
But you need to look at the uniqueness of the position.
Which we think we have done, but we'll do it again. Okay?
All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. All right, is there any more discussion on the motion?
Mayor, as far as these step raises, we're gonna try, I guess at the budget level, we're gonna try to keep those in this year.
Yes, sir.
Applicable.
Correct.
And there's a 1% also in for everyone.
We're proposing that. That's part of the recommendation. It's yet to be, you have to look at the whole total budget picture and then make your final decision.
All right,
I'm gonna read it.
okay.
Your motion is to approve budget 54110 with the changes as discussed, including 2 SROs, 4 traffic positions, deleting the transfer from narcotics because it's in the budget twice, and account 709 will be $17,000.
Okay. And, excuse me just one moment, Becky, did the item at the bottom there, that $112,590 for those school positions,
You want that in there?
that needs to
Okay.
be 75,060.
But she said there was only 2 positions
Yes.
instead of 3, which was shown.
So just add that line item is reduced from that number to 75,060.
Is there an account number or some way to designate that? or
That really would
just-
be folded back up into the big number 189. That's a part of line item 189, but
Well, is this $75,060 for the 4 traffic positions and 2 SROs?
The 2
No,
SROs
two-
are the
they're separate.
75,060.
Okay, how about if I say 2 SRO positions at $75,060?
yes.
Okay.
3 can go to a 2.
and then transferring their position into the.
Yeah, that's already, this third position is already up there. You're already paying for that SRO, those two, you already got them.
This is the one that the school board's funding.
Doesn't matter. All we do is taking their revenue off,
Okay.
revenue that you're getting.
Okay. We don't need to worry that in.
No. Okay.
So all this is gonna be looked at in the budget committee, correct?
Yes, sir.
Two budget members? Okay. All right. Any more questions, more discussion? Call the roll.
I really don't have to call the roll on this one, just consent.
We've been
vote.
doing them by
Just doing these
acclamation.
by acclamation.
All right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Well, we go to the jail budget, 4210. We have actually had sort of one more iteration on this one. What they presented, I'm in complete agreement with the exception again of this additional personnel request. We reviewed that. We haven't got back with the sheriff, but we don't think that's appropriate at this point either. But I have not discussed that with him yet, okay? Everything else, the 12,491, 625, we're in full agreement with them.
And that's actually less than the
Yes.
budget last year's.
Yes, it is.
And so the only thing that what you're talking about is the maintenance supervisor promotion?
That's right. We need to have some reasonable discussion with them to see what we should do. And we haven't had that.
Okay. And if I can reiterate, I mean, I don't know who this person is either, but I can understand my same sentiments.
So you can reflect that we completely agree with their recommendation, and we will address that between now and the budget hearing.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
Long-term, what's the plan as far as adding on out there with some of the space that you're needing?
The mayor and I have had a number of discussions on maybe changing some things around, but it's not, we haven't really come to any complete agreement on it yet. But we're trying to keep from having to do that as much as possible, so we're going to use every avenue possible to find space by adjusting other areas. So,
Coming on office spaces.
talking about the entire thing.
Entire thing.
Yeah.
What options do you have?
Well, the options we have is working with the workhouse as much as we can on trying to. Of course, they have a lot of space over there.
Yes, sir.
And we're already utilizing some of it,
Okay, so this is-
that's one of the major options that we have.
I'm saying some of these reductions are because we have fewer inmates. Okay, food supplies, for example.
Yeah, the fewer inmates is really hurting us right now because we're losing a lot of money by the state and it's turning loose felonies earlier, and a lot of the felons that they're turning loose earlier are coming out of the jails. So therefore, the monies that we normally would be making off of those, we're not gonna be making anymore. And what's happening is, our jail was built to house a certain number of prisoners. Originally, it was 500, but we've adjusted it, and now we were able to use the same number of personnel to handle a larger number of prisoners, which it has gone up to 900 before. But the thing about it now, with them reducing the prisoners and that money we were having coming in, we can't reduce the number of personnel because they're still having those stations that they're having to watch. So we're getting hit this year pretty hard.
And they're still, and patrol's probably picking up because they're still having to rearrest those felons.
Well, in the long run, it costs a whole lot more. The state is saving money and the counties are getting killed,
Right.
basically.
As normal.
Yeah,
And we have them roaming our streets.
they will be, yeah. And hopefully we pick them up as quick as we can. But it's not just the counties, I mean, the cities are getting killed
Right,
too.
exactly.
because they're having to rearrest all these people.
Yeah, but they don't have to put them in their jail.
No.
That's a big difference.
All right, anybody else got any questions on it?
Why don't y'all just explain to me the camera intercom system? Is it everything in the whole jail there is gonna be replaced and redone?
It is in bad working shape. I mean, we have got a lot of situations that happened back there that are causing us a lot of safety problems, and we have to get that fixed. I mean, it's just, it has to be
Is this
done.
basically gonna be new, or is it just repairs?
I think he's looking for a new system, isn't he?
I believe so.
Mhm.
It's antiquated and outdated.
It
It's
is.
hard to maintain.
I'm sure it's been there since the jail opened, right?
It has. This
87 or
last,
something?
well, no, not all of it. I mean, we, of course, you know, we redid the jail.
Well,
The original time we came in, of course, was in 1987. It's hard to believe.
But we've also had to go in there, and you'll remember this, we had the locking system. You know, it had to be changed out
Yeah.
over a period of time. It's just need to be dealt with. That's, and you may have.
Wear and tear on a building like that's
One-
gonna happen.
In one incident out there, the camera could save, you know, a tremendous liability.
It's just like the ones that are in the vehicles.
Yeah.
They say it's good
All right.
for them to watch.
Basically, it's a status quo budget in the jail part.
And they've reduced the variable cost as best they can
Yeah.
with this reduction in inmates. And they may even do better, but that's the best they can project right now.
Any more questions? And if there's not any more questions, we'll entertain a motion on the jail budget.
Move to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the jail budget to approve. All right, discussion.
Sheriff, you said something about utilizing the workhouse over there. Mayor, the work release area that we built over there that didn't use, I know we were having, is that area being used now, or?
The housing piece, no. He's talking about using, I think, we have really good training facilities and areas that we can use there and that we can share, but we're not using the other part. We're not staffing that area.
I'm just thinking of what we could outsource to that area to make it work.
That's something that we're working on, and but this, I don't think it'll be part of this budget. We're still working on some things that could probably, maybe benefit us quite a bit in the future.
That's a pretty large area over there, Spags.
It is.
All right. Any more questions on the motion on the floor? Hearing and seeing none, all in the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. All right, we have, what's the narcotics budget now?
Yes.
Our drug enforcement?
And the copy you have of it, they've even taken it down a bit from the one we had originally, so we don't have any objection to what they proposed there. And they have moved that one person over that we talked about earlier into the sheriff's budget, so this is, we agree with it.
We're getting hurt on our income by quite a bit because we're losing an enormous amount of money on waiving of fines and court costs and things like that. So
Is that a,
we're gonna have to direct.
is that a general sessions or?
A lot of it's done in general sessions, and we've had some circuit, but not much. It's mostly general sessions, so we're gonna have to address that issue.
Is that, I guess, talk to Judge McFarland and Lowry.
We don't want,
Do what?
we don't want any one of them to feel left out and not get talked to.
All right. You see the request and roughly $200,000 less in the drug enforcement budget. And it's probably due to what the sheriff just spoke of.
And we're making as many cases.
All right.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do I have a second? Have a second. All right, discussion.
The litigation tax, does it get waived a lot? But
I wouldn't know.
It wouldn't.
Wouldn't it come through there?
No,
No.
When,
That would come through Ms. Gaither's office.
And she would have the numbers.
She would have the
on
numbers
all
on that.
yeah.
I'm just wondering, because you were saying they were waiving the others. I was wondering on that.
Any more questions?
Well, just a quick statement. I appreciate the shape this budget's in when it came to us. Y'all really worked on it hard.
It has been a lot, and to be perfectly honest with you, we pulled back beyond what I normally would have.
Well, this is, if you put these three together, I believe we've got a reduction from what we had last year.
Well, we certainly do, when you really consider the fact that the camera replacement in the jail is a big piece of that jail, or it would be down $275,000 more dollars.
Right.
Well, too, with the liability we've got there, that's something we can't
Yeah,
afford.
we need to do it.
Not to keep up. We're ready to keep us on.
Of course, we're getting hit by the economy, but the state's really put the blast on us. We're talking about losing a couple $1 million of revenue in one place. That's a lot of money.
So we're doing all this, gentlemen, this whole budget with 1.7 million. He's right, almost $2 million less revenue from these state prisoners.
Yeah, that's,
We were getting shortchanged to begin with whatever.
well, it goes back to the state, when it comes to anything we've ever asked them, when it comes to revenue to help local government, you know, and I know they're getting hit, you know, just like we all are. But we don't need to be turning fellas out on the street. They don't need to be out on the street.
We're almost going back to the old Tennessee Sentencing Act when they started doing this to us years ago.
Right.
Because you remember, if you were sentenced for a full year, you automatically went to the penitentiary. And then they changed it to 3 years, and now it's up to 8 years. But the problem is, they didn't want to keep paying for that 8 years, so
Right.
now they're letting them out early.
Right. Exactly. That's, it's time to pay the piper, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, all right, we got a motion.
You need to vote.
And a second on the drug enforcement budget. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. And I'll reiterate, Commissioner P said, appreciate the work that the mayor's office and the sheriff's office and all your department heads have done to bring this budget the way it is with the revenue shortfall that we've had.
Mayor's very good at relating to us all the problems that we seem to be running into.
You're well aware of them before I get them.
We'd like to share our pain. That's
All right, is there anything else on y'all's budget?
That's it.
All right. I need to holler at y'all before they go and pass on something to you. All right. Anybody else? Any questions? All right. Is there any other business come before the committee tonight?
Mayor, we don't need to do that budget amendment, do we?
With juvenile, do you know anything about it?
You gotta let me see it just a moment. $63. They don't need to work on a $63 budget. We'll take that to budget.
Okay. All right.
I signed it, but okay.
All right. Is there any other business? All right, thank y'all. We stand adjourned.